This here, these pop-ups when you go live just drive me nuts. Okay, folks, you remember a long time ago, back in first week of June, okay, I blew my cover. I blew the top of my cover. I don't know how it happened. And this was down Tennessee. I've done a video on this and how JB welded it. Consider myself the uncertified spokesman for JB Weld. Okay, that's the flywheel housing. And the starter, somehow or another, it backfired or something, starter broke this. I bought a new one. Alright, just in case, I JB welded the crap out of this thing. Alright, now, okay, got it home, put that on there, everything went nuts after that. Okay, these Johnson engines, there's not much on these 175, 60-degree Johnson engines. Okay, I have one. I love this engine when it's running right. But when it goes bad, man, it's frustrating. And I've been battling with this for about 2 weeks and $300 later. The timing system, this timing system is one of the most complicated timing systems I've seen on a boat engine. And this is, let me show you something else. And this is a 1997, stay with me. I forgot to grab this. Okay, there's one video on YouTube where a guy tries to time this with a timing light. It's called timing light trick. There's no follow-up on it. The guy sounds like he's from Australia, and I highly doubt that he got anywhere with his little trick. Folks, if you have one of these 60-degree, 175 horse, and they made it in different horsepower, just the 60, 175 horse is what this one is. If you have one of these, I highly doubt you will ever time this with a timing light. Now, when I put this top on here, okay, I reset all the timing. And like I said, there's not much on there about one of these engines, so I'm going to put a little bit on there and try to help some people out. There's still several of these, probably thousands of these motors still around. They're getting hard to get parts for. It's a Fast Track 175 Johnson. This motor it's 2-stroke, 1997. And I just love this motor when it runs great, when it's running right. Okay, but the carburetors leaked like crap because they had plastic float bowls on them. Okay, now I'm going to get into this in a minute. So I dove into this a little bit further to try to clean up the mess. It was real messy, leaking fuel. Okay, but back to the timing. Get you a book. My book's in the house. Get you a book on this engine if you have one. Because sooner or later you'll have to do things to keep it running. Okay, you need this little tool right here. It's a CDI tool. It's a little special gadget. It connects into your electric eye. This boat motor has what you call what I call an electric eye. See that right there? It goes up underneath this. Okay, this moves with your throttle. Okay, that tool plugs into the back of this. Whoop. Plugs into the back of this. This is what comes off the engine. There's your plug. Plug it back in there to run the motor. But that tool plugs into there. That's the only true way that you're going to time this engine for maximum efficiency. Okay, is with this little $400 tool. Yes, with this little $400 tool. Back in 2015, bear with me folks, back in 2015, I was having trouble out of this motor. I'd only owned it a few months, maybe a year. I was having trouble out of it. So I tore it completely apart, took the power head off of it, and I found a place. I've got all the paperwork. I've said this before. I'm going somewhere, bear with me, for y'all that own one of these motors, especially. I sent this to 10 Killer Marina in Oklahoma. They done a complete rebuild on the power head, put Wiseco pistons in it, guaranteed the parts and labor for life. You couldn't get that anywhere. That's why I sent it there. Okay, now, like I said, get a book and buy one of them tools if you have one of these motors and you plan on keeping it. They're very complicated. And for a 1997, it's unbelievable. What I forgot to do, when I put all this back together, in here's a spaghetti gasket. I think I threw it away, but it's just like a piece of spaghetti that goes everywhere. And there's one on the other side. Okay, I put these metal, I bought, okay, here, I can just walk you around the other side. The plastic float bows leak right here. They leak like a sieve. They warped. So I thought, well, I'm going to buy some aluminum ones. I found some aluminum ones to put on there. All right. After I took all these off on both sides, and I forgot that I had to keep this throttle plate tightened against the manifold here. And the little spaghetti gasket popped out right here. And when I put the carburetors back on there, I pinched it and took it out in the driveway when I was done. Had all my aluminum float bowls on. Put the muff on it, started up, and I seen it. The water was hitting me in the face. I pinched that gasket. When you take the carburetors, and so that I had to put new $60-something bucks for gaskets. I redone both sides. A pain. If you have to replace these gaskets, spray the back side of those gaskets with this Elmer spray adhesive, because you will never get them gaskets to stay on this manifold while you slide this back, while you slide the throttle plate back. Make you some guide pins. Okay. Spray the back side of the gasket so the glue is toward the manifold, not the throttle plate. Put you some guide screws in there, one in the top and one down here in the middle somewhere, to help you slide that manifold. Once you spray them gaskets and you get them on this manifold, make sure that you go over them 3 or 4 times with your finger and mash them in that little trail that's there. Very, very easy to screw these up. These gaskets in between here. Gasket in between the manifold and the motor is a flat gasket, and your reed box is mounted to this, so that's not as near as bad as this gasket. Use some guide pins. Put that gasket on there. Make sure that it's down in that groove everywhere. Go over it 4 or 5 times with your finger. And that spray glue will start to stiffen up a little bit. Hold it in there. Put these guide pins in there, and once you slide this back against this, the reason you use these guide pins is this. You don't want this throttle plate to slide, move, fumble around, or nothing. You push this throttle plate against that manifold and that spaghetti gasket, and as you hold this back, you take your regular carburetor bolts, put you 2 nuts on them, and you torque these back down to 45 pounds. Okay, you take the top carburetor off one at a time. Do not take them, don't do what I did and take them all off at one time, because it's going to bite you. Take top carburetor. You cannot take any of the rest of them off first. You got to take them off 1, 2, 3. Take top carburetor off. Put 2 little nuts on these. Tighten it down, torque it 45 inch-pounds. Take the second carburetor off. Torque it down 45 inch-pounds. Take your third carburetor off. Torque it down 45 inch-pounds. That will stop this gasket from coming out of place and causing you the grief that I've been going through. Like I said, it was a simple oversight. I'm a mechanic by trade, an auto mechanic. Okay, but I'm almost 70 years old, and I didn't remember everything when I first put this engine back together after I had it rebuilt. That slipped my mind, and it cost me. Okay? So hopefully this will help somebody with one of these engines. Now, when I put those aluminum float bowls on there, took it to the lake, it run like crap. Okay. It wouldn't throttle up. It idled great. Would not throttle up. And it bogged down. And it was just a mess. And I'm going to show you something else on these engines too. Now, folks, there's very little on YouTube about these motors, so hopefully I can help somebody. So I come back home thinking maybe one of these gaskets somehow got out of place. But in the meantime, I thought, let's go back to square one. So I ordered some brand new plastic float bowls, and I'm in the process of putting them on there now. I got 2 of them done. New gaskets. I reset the float level, put new needle valves in it, new gaskets. During my research, I've just Googled it. What would happen if I put aluminum float bowls on this engine? It could cause it to run bad, stall, fall on its face, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the thickness of the float bowls. I don't know. But I'm going back to original equipment. So I come home, pulled these carburetors off, pulled, and I did it on both sides. And I rechecked this gasket. The gaskets was well in place. Okay. I reset my timing. Okay, now, and I took it back to the lake. Okay, and it still run like crap. But it did improve because I don't know how it happened. Now, this may be difficult to see. This is the old manifold. This right here. It's a little long and boring, but if you own this motor, you need to listen up. So this is the manifold. Back when I had this rebuild, I stripped a screw in the reed box. So I had to get a hold of a guy at a junkyard, at a salvage yard, marine salvage yard, to get another reed box. So he sent me this with the reed boxes connected to it. Okay. Little did I know, years later, I would need that extra one, and just thank God it was for the same side that I needed, for the starboard side. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, where are we at? Let me turn it over. When I took it apart that second time, this is what I noticed. Where is it at? On every one of these, see that? How light that is right there? There's the track where your gasket goes. That's where your gasket goes. It comes around. Goes up, big long spaghetti gasket, real thin. When I tore this back apart to check those gaskets, I noticed, just by accident, I noticed that right here was broke. It broke off. Turn it this way. See how the edge is gone? See how this little track is gone up here? How it's broke out right there? That is broke out on all three of these. I don't know what caused it. Don't know if I pinched the gasket in all three places. I don't know. And I pulled gasket material out of this hole. Okay, and I pulled plastic, small plastic slivers out of this hole. But you can notice every one of them, that gasket track is missing. It's broke. This little track. Because like I said, this is where the gasket goes. It goes up and around this way, down. But you see where it's missing. I accidentally noticed that. Okay, but like I said, thank God that I had this extra one that I would never imagine that I would have ever needed. It's kind of a mystery, but it's kind of not a mystery. So, I'm back. I put the different manifold back on there. I got it all back together again. Now I'm in the process of putting these OEM, these are supposedly OEM float bowls. Got new gaskets with them. I had to use the brass plug out of the aluminum ones. Okay, but folks, here's something else I want to point out to you. When you set the float level on this particular engine, Where's that carburetor? Okay, I took carburetor cleaner and sprayed in every orifice of this thing. Okay, the float is not on this right now. I got the float off of it. Let me put this on here just to show you what I'm talking about real quick. Okay, well, here. But yeah, let me do it like this. Bear with me, folks. Alright, bear with me, guys. I'm just going to do this real quickly to show you exactly what I mean. So, because I tell you, now when you put the float, let me show you this. When you put the float, when you take these carburetors apart, when you put the float back in there, see that little tab right there? That little tab right there. That's what you bend to set your float level. Not this big metal piece. Not this. You bend this little tab. Most people make the mistake and they bend this. Don't bend that. Bend this little tab. Let's see. Yeah, see that little tab? And that little metal tab, that's what you bend to set the float level. Now, on this particular boat, let me put this in here. Make sure you got that tab pointing toward the top of the carburetor when you put this back together. Now, the reason I've been so specific is because, and detailed, is because most people ain't. Most people and the book, there's a lot of things in the book that are confusing also. I'll get this in here in a minute. Okay, now, snug this just a little bit. Folks, I'm trying to help somebody because, you know, like I said, there's not much help on there when it comes to these motors. Now, okay. Let me see if I can't move some junk. Uh-oh, don't see my boobies. Okay, there's the float. Now, what you need to do, folks, stand it up a little bit more. On these 60 degree Johnson engines, you take, see that little mark, that little zip tie with the gasket on it. With the gasket on the thing, you hold this upright, hold it level, push your gasket up there against the carburetor. Now you want the bottom, okay, pretend I got the gasket on here. Alright, you hold it level, you want the bottom of the float bowl even with this. That is like 1.16" or 1.8". That's all the drop you want on this engine, on your float bowl. I just marked a pencil because it's easier. Make sure you put the gasket on there when you measure that. And then bend. Can you see it? That little tab, I don't think you can see it. That little tab there. I think we can manage it. See that little tab that I was showing you? That's what you bend to set your float level. Take it back apart. Loosen that screw. Make sure you snug that screw up that holds that in there. And pull that out. Okay, bend your little tab. Bend your tab, not this. Bend the tab, the little tab right there. All right, folks, that's about all I got for you. And when I get this back together, we'll see what happens. And another thing, this little round gasket here goes over top of your fuel pickup here. Make sure when you put that on there, make sure it's center all the way around. Okay, make sure it's not cockeyed on there. Okay, make sure it's a dead center. You might have to turn it a little bit to get it center, but this little gasket's got to be center on there. All right, I think that's it. God bless you. Jesus loves you. It's about 900 degrees out here in this garage, and I got to get busy. So, any questions, comments, complaints, blah, blah, blah. Like and subscribe, please, folks. I'm trying my best to help people, to save you the frustration I've been going through with this 1997 Fast Track 175 horse Johnson. Any questions, comments, put down there. Like I said, like and subscribe. I love you. God bless you. Let's sky mo. I'm out.